Welcome to the Libraries and Weight Rooms podcast, your trusted source for simple strategies to improve your mental and physical fitness. Throughout this podcast, we will discuss how you can manage your mental health by practicing mental fitness, building emotional resilience and curiosity to handle life's challenges. We'll also highlight the crucial link between physical fitness and your overall mental well-being. My name is DJ Ligori, and I want you to realize that you are not alone with this challenge. Thank you for taking the time to listen, and welcome to today's episode. All right, we are live. All right, what is up, everybody? Welcome back to the Libraries and Weight Rooms podcast. I am sorry, but today is episode number 103. Last episode, I thought it was 103. Today's 103. Thank you so much for taking some time out of your day to listen to what we have to say on this podcast. So one of the things that I always love to do is I love to listen to other podcasts and I love to watch them and see the way that they are presented. And it's always interesting to me because like the majority of the podcasts that I watch, these people have like these beautiful studios and everything is so professionally done. And like, as I set things up, like I'm in my room here and I'm just like, all right, we got to start somewhere. Right. So I think, we're starting on the ground floor here and we're working our way up. And I want to say thank you to all of the podcasters out there who inspire me every day to kind of come up with new ideas on how to present this and how to become a better communicator amongst the podcasting world. And what we want to talk about today might agitate you a little bit. It might be a little touchy, yet I think it's important just to talk about it in a way that is honest. And the idea behind this podcast is I want to be 100% curious this whole podcast. I'm going to try my best not to make any judgments. I just want to offer up some good questions and some good perspectives around stress and anxiety to be curious with, to think about in your life. All right, because I know that in the time that we've been involved with Acres of Diamonds and working with people around managing their mental fitness and trying to become more mentally fit, sometimes we can get into touchy topics in all honesty, right? And as facilitators and coaches, it's our job to notice that and be respectful of that while also trying to ask the right questions to help people make progress in those areas. And so today what I want to do is I want to address this question around stress and anxiety. And is it possible that we are using stress and anxiety as a way to feel significant? Now, let me explain this a little bit. I heard this quote on TikTok, and it was super powerful. All right. This kid was, somebody was like, give me your hottest take. And this kid like did this quick, like little explanation. I wanted to read this quote to you. Some people want to be miserable. And what I mean by that is people will refuse to fix manageable problems because the attention they get from having those problems is worth more to them than actually solving the issue. Wow. That's pretty powerful. Let's think about that for a second, right? And I think the key word here is the word attention, because attention, at least in my mind, equates to significance. And we have a human need to feel seen, heard, and understood. It's actually one of the reasons why group coaching is so valuable, because it creates a community where we actually get to feel seen, heard, and understood. So we have this human need, and that human need, you could kind of encompass it in saying, all right, we want to feel significant in a way. So, according to that quote, if we choose to feel miserable and we choose not to actually solve these problems because of the attention that we get from actually having the problem, it's actually worth more than actually solving it. So the attention actually equals the significance, and that significance plays into our human need to feel seen, heard, and understood. Like I said here, I'm just trying to be curious, right? I'm just trying to open this up to have all of us start thinking a little bit more about this. So stress and anxiety, when I started to think about this, when I was kind of planning for this podcast, I said stress and anxiety are really indicators that something is going on in our life. whether it is excitement or whether it is fear, something is going on, right? We're not necessarily staying stationary. We're not staying constant. What that means is that we are perceiving, or others actually are essentially perceiving ourselves, that we have things going on, like we're actually important, like people actually need us. We need to answer emails. We need to call people back. We need to text people back. We need to set up these meetings. We need to be on time here. We need to make sure we communicate this to this person, right? So when we have stress or anxiety, it is an indication that we are significant, that we are needed somewhere. Mental fitness is our ability to actually handle these somethings, these challenges, this adversity that comes into our life. Now, I would be hard-pressed to say that there are probably people out there who do not want to be mentally fit. They are actually okay with having the stress, the anxiety, and the challenge in their life because it makes them feel significant. It makes them feel needed. It makes them feel wanted. It makes them feel seen, heard, and understood. Maybe there are people out there like that, right? Like I said, I'm trying to be curious with this. I bet you there are also people out there who don't want to be physically fit. They like being out of shape. They like their fluffy body. That's okay, right? I'm not going to judge them, right? That is their decision to do that. That's okay. What I don't think is okay is when we start to complain about it. And when we start to actually say, all right, I'm so sick of all this stress in my life, whether it's physical or whether it's mental, right? Whether we don't like the way we look physically or mentally, there comes a point where it's like, okay, well, what are we going to do about it? Now what, right? That's a great question to always ask yourselves. Now what, right? What do I need to do to still feel significant, yet not trying to feel stressed and anxious, okay? The difficult thing about stress and anxiety is that if we allow stress and anxiety to be a burden in our lives, it actually creates a connective commonality amongst the majority of people. Talking about stress and anxiety is actually kind of easy because it's something that I think the majority of us feel, whether it's daily, weekly, monthly, yearly, we feel it a lot, right? Adversity is everywhere. Tim Tebow said it, and I can't remember if I said this last time or if I even have said this. Adversity is here, it's on its way, or it just left. So we're always going to be feeling some sort of challenge in our lives. And it's up to us on how we actually want to use that challenge. How do we want to feel about that challenge? Right? Some people thrive on challenge. They love it when things are difficult. They love putting themselves in uncomfortable situations. Think about David Goggins. 99% of the things that David Goggins does is extremely uncomfortable. He loves putting himself in these uncomfortable situations in order to grow. That is stress, that is anxiety, that is challenge, that is adversity. And he's very deliberate with putting himself into those situations. He gets his significance internally off of the stress and the challenge and the pain that he almost creates for himself. And that's something that I'm going to hit on at the end here. So there is almost like a community of people who are stressed and anxious. The majority of us feel some sort of stress and some sort of anxiety, and it's a very communal type of feeling. Could you imagine if you were in a group of 10 people and everybody was talking about the things that challenged them in their lives, their stress, their anxiety, the adversity that they were facing, and then one person said, nope, I know how to manage the most of those feelings. I know how to change my perspectives on them. I know how to use them to actually serve me, and I don't really let them bother me a ton. That whole group would go silent. And that one person would be completely isolated from the remaining 9. So that's the other piece to this that I think might cause us to want to continue to be stressed and anxious, is if we decide to be that one person who deviates away from the majority and actually is very deliberate and intentional with not trying to feel significant, with holding on to their stress and anxiety, they then start to become isolated. And they could possibly risk being lonely and being left behind by the majority of people who are stressed and anxious. Like I said here, I'm just trying to be curious and just trying to put this idea out there so that we can think about this in relativity to our own lives. So one thing that I want you guys to think about is either you've been in this situation or you've seen somebody in this situation. How many of you have ever experienced somebody telling you how bad something was in their life? And then another person tried to one-up them. Or maybe you were that person who tried to one-up that other person. Can we see now how we use challenge and stress and adversity as this feeling of significance? You think you had it bad. Look what I had to deal with. You think what you experienced was bad. Get a load of this. So I just want us to think about that. Like, how do we actually present the challenges in our lives? Are these things that we are deliberately and intentionally trying to solve? Or are these things that we are holding on to as a feeling of significance? Because I've had moments of my life, like the first two things that I think of are the first two limiting beliefs that I ever had, that I wasn't smart and I wasn't strong. And I know exactly where those two things were developed, two very specific events of my life, when I broke my elbow and when I got put into special classes in second grade. I remember exactly when those were developed 100%. Yet I don't let those be my defining moments. I let those inspire me. I let those kind of fire me up. I use them in a way of they're serving me. It's not something where somebody says, "Oh, I was put in all these special classes when I was younger because I struggled with reading and writing." I don't come in and say, "No way, I did too, and here's how much worse mine was than yours." Right? I can connect with them and say, "Oh man, I had something similar too, but like, tell me more about yours." Right? We can still elevate that person based upon whatever challenge it was, but yet we don't have to try and one-up them to feel significant. Because remember, we're always trying to feel seen, heard, and understood. We're always trying to feel like we matter, like what we're doing and being is important, and it's enough, and it's worthy. And so I want to leave you guys with this quote one more time, just because I think it's super powerful. Some people want to be miserable. And what I mean by that is people will refuse to fix manageable problems because the attention they get from having that problem is worth more to them than actually solving the issue. Our human need, seen, heard, and understood. I hope this podcast today was curious enough to get you thinking about how you want to look at stress and challenge and adversity in your life. Because, like we said, it's always going to be there. The question is, are we holding on to the pain of it in order to feel significant? Or are we ready to be intentional and deliberate with how we use it to actually help us? So, thank you guys, everybody, for tuning in today. Episode number 103. Not 102. We will talk to you guys next week. We'll see you. Thank you for listening to today's episode of the Libraries and Weight Rooms podcast. If you received something interesting from today's episode, we would kindly appreciate if you could leave us a rating or a review, or even share this podcast with someone you believe needs to hear its message. The Libraries and Weight Rooms brand is a division of our parent company, Acres of Diamonds, where we are on a mission to end mental suffering through mental fitness. If you would like to learn more about our mission and support this cause, please visit our website at www.youracresofdiamonds.com. Take care, keep leading, and we will talk to you soon.